Coming to you live from their studio in South Florida, Twist Gaming. Featuring lead broadcaster, Matt Koza. Co-host and creative genius, Josh Perry. Co-host and interviewer extraordinaire, Ann Lazito. Co-host and marketing mogul, Aaron Murphy. With appearances from special guest, Lucy. Welcome to Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with Batman. We're coming to you live here from the Batcave, and bringing you our first impression session of our Spotlight stream, where we talk about our favorite aspects of the game we just played, any constructive criticisms that we might have, and the most important question of would we play the game again. Tonight we had the pleasure of spotlighting Talisman Batman by the app, USAopoly, and big shout out to them. Thank you for sponsoring this stream and all of this week's streams. We didn't do the introductions, I guess. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm hungry. I'm thirsty.
I'm Batman.
Thank you.
Okay, I had to do it. So, Josh, give us a little brief intro on what kind of game Talisman Batman is.
It's a reskin of Talisman. Spoiler note, none of us played Talisman before this.
Yep.
So this is our first time playing Talisman, so I can't compare it to the original.
Yep.
So if you played the original and you kind of want to know if it's like it, you got to go watch the video. I can't tell you.
Supposedly it's shorter?
Yeah, they had some rules in here. We actually didn't use any of the rules to do it. So, like, if you die, you grab a new character and you inherit your old stuff.
Okay.
Typically, in old Talisman, you either died and then you were just out of the game, or you died and you got to start from scratch.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Starting off with our favorite aspects of the game, this is going to be stuff that, really jumped off the table to us, or jumped off the page at us in a comic book game. I think this is like a better like when people think of roll and moves, I feel like you think of like your standard, like not really board games.
Yeah.
And this does a good job of kind of like actually making it a board game. And when I say not board games, I mean like Monopoly, Life.
Not like gamer games.
All right.
Yeah.
Candyland.
Life is a spin and
Yeah, I know it's a spin and move, but you get what I'm saying.
Snakes and ladders. Shoots and ladders.
Is there dice in that? I was told that there's no dice in that
I
recently.
don't think there's that. Anyways, but no, I think this is like a mature roll and move, Of course, it's Batman. I think they did actually a pretty good job of lining up the players' abilities with the actual different villains' archetypes from the game. So I thought that was neat. It wasn't like just kind of like a bland skinning of it. I think we all had abilities that were kind of inherent.
Yeah, something that we never hit was if you turned your character sheet over,
Yeah.
you could get deranged, which kind of changes how you play for 3 whole turns.
Oh, that's interesting. There's like a good chunk of things that we didn't really get into. I think they did a pretty good job with the items and the weapons and the objects actually, linking from the Batverse over. So I did enjoy that. Anne, how about you?
Let me go to Josh first because I'm putting together a thought.
Okay, Josh.
I really like the art and everything they used for the game.
The board is gorgeous.
I don't know if they used like original comic art or like I don't know if this is original comic art or they kind of had this all custom made for the game, but it's all really good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it looks very, very gorgeous. Very pretty. It's like it looks like it just came out of the comic book. So when you look at like Commissioner Gordon, like I'm a big fan of the Batman animated series, so it's got a lot of that like kind of noir look to it as well. So
and the miniatures are pretty cool.
Yeah, the minis are all really neat, and we didn't see some of the other ones, but like that's Clayface, and that's a really, really cool mini right there. Let's see, this one here, Poison Ivy, on her flower. I think that I like that they put it on the flower.
Yeah, we were having a conversation about the Joker's daughter earlier, and I think it's really cool that they decided to include her in as a villain.
Because she's kind of a fringe character in the Batman lore.
And look, so if you were joined our stream on Monday, our pre-stream, Josh and I had a longer conversation about it. And so I did my research today with the Joker's daughter, and there was a very popular meme that went around about a cosplayer. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's important. Who had dressed up as the Joker's daughter and had caught some flack online by somebody who was teasing this cosplayer. George Takei had put it up, saying, "Oh, look at this girl. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's mixed a bunch of characters together," and nobody knew that it was this character, the Joker's daughter, the Fringe character. So I think it's really cool to see her pop up again and be represented like this.
And like they've definitely got a wide array of villains because
Yeah.
we played as 3 of them, and there's an additional 9 that we didn't play with.
And the game plays up to 6.
Oh, really?
So it gets a little chaotic.
I can see that. Josh, anything else? They did a good job with the components also, in that they've all nailed the Batman theme.
Yeah.
Like the coin being like the fate coin being the Two-Face coin.
Yep.
Even like the marking icons or the bat symbol. The dice have the Batman symbol as the one.
The only thing that's not really is the coins. They
Coin
just have
coins?
the Talisman logo on them.
Yeah.
And they said Talisman.
So what's cool here is that Pat Marino
Yep.
did the Batman adaptation for this particular game.
Cool.
Our buddy Pat.
I like the event decks. It made it curious. There's a we didn't really get to shop for anything,
No, we didn't shop at all.
which I don't.
I think so. There's a lot of stuff going on in the game,
Yeah.
which is kind of like if that's your thing, that you've got different ways of doing things. It's not just being pigeonholed into doing exactly what's on
But
the
there's
card.
also a lot of randomness in it.
There's a lot of randomness, but you have the ability to like experience different things. I think. What are you looking for, Ann?
I'm trying to make sure. I'm going to make a comment, and I want to make sure that I. Continue. I really like the way that they had put together. I think that you guys have hit all the really good points. Obviously, we talked about the board. We talked about the Batman integration. We talked about the breadth of the Batman lore in the game. We were talking before about, I think, the one thing that DC, we get to get into the whole DC versus Marvel argument. The one thing I think DC has up on Marvel is that specifically the Batman villains.
Oh yeah,
like
Batman
there's nothing.
has like the legendary gallery of rogues, and I like that that's how they took this. Is that
Yeah.
you're not playing as Batman. It's a
Mo-
know Batman game where you're not playing as Batman
You know
Most
why
of
it's
the-
probably like that?
because everyone would want to play Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. Like, I definitely prefer Batgirl, Barbara Gordon over Batman as far as like the hero side of the things. But so many of like Batman's anti-hero, right? So many of the villains also kind of come to the other side. Like you talk about Black Cat, you talk about Catwoman. There's some like villains that, or even Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, the whole Suicide Squad. Like, they don't
I think
always.
those
The
are
lines
the-
are more gray.
I think that's the Sirens is what you were referring to.
Yeah, I was referring to the 3, and then separately referring to the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
So 2 examples of
Gotcha.
groups of villains being anti whatever.
Yeah.
But and that I think emphasizes the fact that like the villains and the heroes in Gotham are not always so very
Black and white,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
which is kind of a funny juxtaposition because it's a noir comic, so you get black and white out of that. It's kind of punny, you know.
You're such a dork.
Anything else in your favorite aspects of the game, Anne?
It was the game seems to be pretty straightforward. Like you mentioned, I think they did a great job with matching up the special abilities again, with the characters and their personalities. The game seems very straightforward. It seems very easy to like pick up.
Yeah, it was, and I think Josh hit a really good point when he was teaching us. If you didn't watch a spotlight session, basically this game picks up much easier if you just play.
Yeah.
Because when it boils down to it, it's roll, move to a space, do what's on the space.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Once you get some stuff, you can kind of game it, but like telling that information beforehand doesn't really help too much.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's a pretty easy game to pick up.
So unless you've got anything else, I'm going to move into the constructive criticisms. So this is based on our first playthrough, and again, considering that we've never played Talisman before, this is anything that we would change if given the opportunity. So I'm gonna go in here first, and I'm gonna say something that we probably are all thinking, is that I didn't feel like the encounters scaled appropriately. More importantly, I felt like there was next to zero challenge in the level 3 encounters. Given the fact that it was essentially once you're up in there, you don't really have to worry about anything except for getting to Batman first.
Yeah.
Because being in there presented next to no challenge, and especially for Josh, because there was like 2 cards in there that had a minor detriment or boon to both myself and Anne, whereas Josh was just like, I'm just going to ignore those cards.
Due to the alignment.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with the fact that, I mean, I didn't see any other cards that were like that.
There might have been some more alignment cards that hit me more in the other 2 levels.
Yeah, but we didn't really, like, even some of the other alignment cards that we did get were specifically for chaotic or righteous.
Yeah.
Versus the indifferent.
But, like, I also couldn't do anything with a lot of the stuff on the board sometimes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I wasn't terribly happy about that, but I think just having more threats in the level 3, I think would have gone a long way to making it more interesting in that final battle.
I want to expand on that, if I may. So talking about that. I have another point, but I want to talk about specifically that.
Yeah.
I almost felt like, is it a mistake? Are we doing something wrong with the game in the guard control tower when you were able to just farm these villains? I don't even know if it's more, but I feel like those threats should have scaled with your character. It became farming, and at that point, it's no longer fun.
Yeah. So, like even the strongest one in the tower, there was a level 5 strength and a level 5 cunning.
We did place, I think we might have played slightly wrong. I'm thinking about the combat now, and I think if 2 characters come out with the same type, you fight them at the same time.
Combat.
It still probably wouldn't have met much because we still were beating things like
Yeah,
super high. So like a 3 and a 5 came out. Was it 8?
Maybe. But like, yeah, so like this 5, I had a 12 cunning at the end of the game. So I literally didn't have to roll because his max roll would still lose to my base ability.
Yeah.
So it was a little disappointing. And then he was actually the strongest one. There was a level 2 in the guard tower. So it seemed kind of, I don't know. I thought I didn't really care for that personally. I think having more threat there would have gone a long way. I thought in the earlier levels, specifically like level 1, there were some really cool things that came out. And
Batgirl
especially
came out with a strength of 8. Commissioner Gordon came out with a strength of 7.
Yeah, Batgirl was in level 2, right?
1.
Level 1? Yeah, because I ignored her.
That's who I wanted to see. Like, okay, so I was going through the deck because I want to make sure that when I make my comment that I say it intelligibly. I love Killer Croc. I'm so upset that I didn't get him as a follower in this thing. We didn't make it through a lot of this deck.
Specifically, the level 1 and level 2 decks are gigantic.
Yeah.
I think he's in here. Robin is in here, and he is a level 8 strength.
Yeah.
Spoiler's level 1. There we go. Robin and Spoiler are both level 1.
Yeah.
Which is an 8 and a 6. I feel like these enemies
Are
should be
stronger
exclusive
to
to the
the-
level 3 deck.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. And I think that would play along with the whole comic book theme too, because in the first floors you're fighting the minions.
Right, you're fighting the minions, you're fighting the SWAT officers, you're fighting the cops. Commissioner Gordon I could even buy coming out in level 1.
Because he's downstairs on his radio.
Yeah. And
Fine.
then like
I would take that.
level 2 you get like maybe Spoiler, and then in the tower you have Robin and Batgirl.
Yeah. Yep. Wholeheartedly agree. I don't.
And then it would, as you were saying, it would give you more of that like video gamey, comic booky feel of ascending the ranks.
Yes.
Level 10?
That's a 10 cunning in level 2.
Like that's almost as strong as Batman.
And I don't understand, like, why isn't that in level 3? Why aren't those the things that you're fighting in level 3?
To make a side note, I don't know how the original Talisman was, if it had the same kind of
Scaling.
And it might have been like, once you kind of get in the final section, it's kind of like a race to whoever gets there. And like, I don't know how the original
It certainly
game.
seems that that's what they were going for. At the same time, it kind of felt anticlimactic of just like, I roll, I take a turn, I farm. I roll, I take a turn, I farm.
Yep.
I go fight Batman! You know.
I wish the level 3 deck was bigger too.
Yeah, I definitely agree because we cycled through it quite a bit. If it was anywhere like near the size of the level 2, I think I would have been happier with just having some more variety in that. I know we're harping on this one a lot, but I think it definitely affected our gameplay experience because I think, like, honestly, the first 2 levels we were having a lot of fun with.
I think this game will also scale more with more players since there's more player conflict.
Yeah. And
which would make this much more interesting as well.
Yeah, especially if you've got 6 players in that area where you're only moving like 3 spaces at a time maximum, and people like are restricted into forward and backward movement, you'll be fighting each other all day long.
And you're taking keys and all that stuff.
Yeah, so that might have suffered the fact that we were only playing as 3 people.
Yeah.
3 Batman.
I'm Batman.
And anything else from your side?
Absolutely. So I want to talk specifically about the security keys.
Okay.
So we got a lucky draw, right? You got 2 security keys off the bat, and you got a security key. And you all got it from the level 1 deck.
I got it from one of the guys that come out onto the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you meet him, he gives you a key.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Okay. There are no other security keys in the deck.
Okay.
So you got both of them.
Really?
That come out.
Huh.
Yep. And I didn't see any other encounter cards that give you a security key. Okay?
Huh.
So what I was researching was, I didn't want to misspeak, was other ways to get security keys. And there's a lot of text on these cards. I really tried to look through them pretty well. As you can see, I'm still trying to look through them. But I don't see any other, this whole conversation feels very familiar. I don't see any other ways to get security keys. Great. There is, I think we said that there's a spot on the board that gives you one.
I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I know that there's one spot on the board that gives you the janitor key, the
guard
guards
keys,
which is what takes you through from the first level to the second level.
Okay. So what I did read in the rule book, which may have, so one, that's rough. Like, at the end of the game, we were all in the guard tower, and we're like, well, Josh doesn't have any security keys. What's the plan? Let's punch Matt in the face and steal it.
Yeah.
Because we can't figure out how else to get this limited component to get up there.
Fair enough.
So you had 2, you had 1. I have 2 more in my hand, and they're limited. Once you're done with them, according to the game rules, that's it.
So you could essentially lose the game by not having enough security keys.
Correct.
Interesting.
So
I believe they just get discarded back to their pile, and like they would get like reshuffled into one deck.
So
The other ones just get discarded back to like where they were, I believe.
there are 4 security key cards. Characters may discover these key cards in the encounter deck or by completing a job. That was the other thing that I wanted to bring on. But what I read was in the
By completing
limited.
a job.
So I will get into that, like I just said.
Oh, so
that's
it's the mobs
like
over there.
like I just said. I promise I will touch on that in a second.
Well, I know you were saying that you weren't sure if there was a spot on the board.
Nope,
So.
I know. All coins, fate, purchase cards, and security keys are limited to the number of components provided within the game. So,
Right. So that just means that you cannot collect more via the job than what are in the deck. So if I happen to
there's
get all
definitely
4
5
of them,
though here.
so yeah, it's like say I happen to
6.
get all of them, right? 6,
Yeah.
and then
You could hoard them.
you went to go to the job, then you technically can't get more than that.
So
the
on,
job doesn't say.
Can you?
Sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So on Karma, I spent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we couldn't find any other space on the board, and as I was reading through the rule for the security key, it says that you get it if you complete the job for Carmine. Nowhere on Carmine's tile does it reference security keys.
Really?
Yep. So the verbiage, which I have, there's a photo. Actually, if you could put this up in the hand cam, the thing, it's very small, so maybe, there you go. What that says there is simply the 6 job options that you have available.
So a character who lands on Carmine Falcone's cell may choose to accept a job. If the character chooses to accept a job, they must roll a die to determine what the job will be, as instructed on the space. A character may not accept more than 1 job at a time. A character must attempt to complete the assigned job immediately if they're able to do so. In addition, Carmine Falcone will prevent any character who accepts the job from opening the security door until the job is complete.
Even this section does not tell you that you can get the security key from Carmine, right?
Okay.
So if I may have it back just a moment. Yeah, and available to all characters once more. The only place that it tells you is in the security keycard section.
Security keycards. There are 4 security keycards. Characters may discover these keycards in the encounter deck or by completing a job for Carmine Falcone using the game space on the second floor.
If this is such an important component to the game,
really important to know.
I feel like that it is super important to know. And that means I would have had a security keycard because I had completed a job for him, and it would have completely changed how I would have completed this game.
Yeah, that should absolutely be written on that space.
I just think that it's a giant oversight. It's a big cost. Like, the way to get out of that space for me was I had to give up a follower. Yeah. I happened to have a good draw for me, and I happened to pull a lot of followers in my particular turn, but you didn't have any followers.
No, not one.
So had you had landed in Carmine's position and had needed to discard a follower, you would have had to find a follower before you could go up through the security door and then go back to Carmine.
Wow.
And discard. Or maybe you don't have to go back to Carmine, but that's another thing. It does not clearly explain what that means. So could you imagine? I was fortunate. I had the follower, but the reward, like so I guess if I understand this correctly, the reward for that big of a sacrifice for Carmine the mob boss is you get a security key, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's a mistake if that's not written on the board space.
I just think that's definitely my biggest.
So I just want to confirm
this.
Since I can't really see it, it's definitely not written on the space, right?
Right. It is. I promise you, it is exactly what's on there. Is exactly. I mean, there must be an additional revision because obviously there are. What I've found is 6 key cards in the game, and the game this rule book lists 4. Specifically says that there's 4.
Yeah.
You found the ventriloquist that gave you a security key card, but then I can't see even in the other spaces that we were on anything that referenced get a security card.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big deal.
That was my
good catch.
That was my big deal. My other smaller bit was we were starting talking about the characters, right? And you were like, well, if you die, you pick up a new character. And I was looking forward. I did not want to die. Like, nobody wants to die. Like, but I remember we picked up KDM the first time, and you're like, I'm going to name my character. It's like after we had started playing like RPGs and you get attached to your character, I named it and then it died. Right? And I was like, oh, I'm upset. But here, like, you get a new one. I was excited to see the more characters come out. And I just feel like this game wasn't built for us. This game, as a 3-player, you don't interact with enough of the content of the game. I was hanging out on the first floor.
Well, you could argue that it gives you more replayability, though, by having different characters to play.
I think, but I was hanging around the first level, I was trying to farm a little bit more down there, which obviously, and then we went up to the guard tower, and you've got
easy to farm the higher
right.
Up you go.
I was trying to engage with the content and build up Harley before I made it up, and you guys ran up to the 3rd floor, and that's the strategy for this game, which is a shame because I think it bothers me so much because of the thing that I like the most about this game is the quality of the content included with the game. I felt like this game comes with kinetic energy, other side.
Potential.
It's got so much potential. Thank you. Potential content. It's got so much great just content sitting there, and I didn't feel like it was easy to interact with it.
Okay. Josh?
The one last thing I have is I really like the dials.
Yeah.
But they're a little loose, and I kind of misspun them probably once or twice.
Yeah, I definitely did that once or twice also.
What are you spinning the dials for there?
I was got knocked over and
what's my strength in this
thing? My strength is actually tight, so that one's fine, but my health is kind of loose, and my cunning's loose too, so...
Yeah, mine was the same.
Yeah.
I kind of tapped it once, and it's just like...
So Josh cheated.
Numbers.
That's how he got his 14.
Yeah, and he still lost. Cheated, though. All right, so moving on to the final, most important question of the evening. Would you play this game again? Starting at the far end of the table, Batman?
Yes, I'll play this game again.
Any caveats to that?
I would play this... I'd probably pull this out to play with newer gamers and Batman fans. Batman.
How about you, Batman?
I would definitely pull this out with Batman fans. I don't think that I would pull this out with newer gamers because I think that because specifically of the security key component and how you get those, I wouldn't want to introduce a new gamer to that.
If you knew the rules though, and you explained it.
I still don't feel like I know the rules.
Okay.
But yes, if I could explain it and I knew the rules, I think that
I think the correct thing is he's supposed to give out a key. It's just not clearly.
I'm going to steal a page from the immortal Andy Looney's book. Is just draw better, Ann.
His birthday was yesterday.
Batman's?
Yes, and Andy Looney's.
Would you play with the kids?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that this way. Also, there's alternative play rules, a couple of alternative play rules, and I'd like to play with the alternative play rules. And maybe I would I don't know. That whole guard tower thing's got to turn off for me too.
Yeah. I would definitely play again. I think I would play in spite of how the guard tower played. I think the rest of the game, I liked how it played. The key card thing's kind of a big deal. So now that we've got a little bit more clarification on that rule, I'd be more open to you newer gamers trying this out. And I think the fact that it's a roll and move makes it much more approachable and familiar for new gamers. And yeah, Batman fans. So that's 3 Batmans up, I think, right?
It's 2 Batmans and a Robin.
Okay, I'll take it. 2 Batmans and a Robin. So that's going to conclude today's first impression session of our Spotlight. Again, thank you to USAopoly, the op, for sponsoring this stream and all of this week's streams with their Spotlight of Talisman Batman. If you haven't had a chance to watch our Spotlight session of it, definitely go back and watch it on video on demand. Spoiler alert, Batman won.
No.
Batman won.
Yes.
And make sure that you're following us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and come chatting with us in our Discord channel. Where?
Sometimes we make new Batman toys.
Batman toys?
Yeah, like the Batmobile and the Batarang and the utility belt and the Bat anything.
We're making toys?
I don't.
Alfred is.
I thought she would just say I'm Batman.
Where we're all Batman.
Where I'm hungry. I'm thirsty.
I'm Matt.
I'm Batman.
Thank you.
But everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is going to be Twist Gaming signing off. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.